On problem number 5, it's asking you to select an expression that is equivalent. And if you notice, they give you a complex fraction, and the problem that we have is that we cannot have an imaginary on the denominator. So whenever you have an imaginary number on the denominator, we need to be able to get rid of it, but something that we call the conjugate. So the conjugate will take care of the I on the denominator. So for the conjugate, the only thing that we need to change is the imaginary part. So therefore, let's rewrite the expression. We have 1 plus 3i over negative 3 minus 4i. And I want to be able to get rid of the denominator, with that I on the denominator. So therefore, we're going to multiply by the conjugate. The only thing that we're going to change is the imaginary part. We're going to multiply by the denominator by negative 3. That's a negative 4 becomes a positive 4i. So notice that the only thing that we change is the imaginary. The negative 3 stays negative. If it was positive, then that will stay positive as well. And we're going to do the same thing on the numerator. So therefore, we're going to multiply by negative 3 plus 4i. And I just multiply. I'm going to distribute I'm going to multiply the numerator. So I'm going to multiply the numerator, and then I'm going to multiply the denominator next. So I need to multiply by them both. First, let's go and start with the numerator. We have 1 times 3, negative 3 gives me a negative 3. 1 times 4 is positive 4i. Then multiply that. Now we're going to multiply the 3i by them both. And that gives you 3i times negative 3 is negative 9i. And 3i times 4i is positive 12i squared. Don't forget that whenever you multiply the I times the 9, it will act like a variable, so you still need the square. On the denominator, we have negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Negative 3 times 4i is negative 12i. And now we're going to distribute that 4i to them both. Negative 4i times negative 3 is positive 12i. And negative 4i times negative 4i is negative 16i squared. Don't forget about your square. On the denominator, these ones should always cancel out. And let's start with the numerator. On the numerator, we're going to combine all like terms. So we have a negative 3. And that gives me a negative 5i. We know that I squared is equal to negative 1. So we multiply 12 times negative 1 will give me a negative 12. On the denominator, we have the 9. We know that I squared is equal to negative 1. So times a negative 16. That will give me a positive 16. We are going to combine our like terms. So we're going to combine our 3i and our negative 12i. And we're going to combine our negative 3 and our negative 12. That will give you a negative 15. And we still have a negative 5i. Now, your denominator, we're going to combine like terms, and we're going to separate our fractions. That will be your first fraction. So we're going to separate our fractions. The first fraction will be over 25. So 9 plus 16 is 25. Your second fraction is also 25. If you notice, your answer is not there because we need to be able to reduce it. On the first fraction, we can divide by 5. So we'll give you a negative 3 over 5 minus, your second fraction will divide by 5 as well. So we have 1 over 5i. And this will be your final answer. Therefore, your answer is letter D.